All right, class. So we are getting started with the Automata standard parts here. So over the course of these next few videos, we're going to make the following. We'll have the crank, this little the axle, bushing. We'll have a series of cams. These kind of have the followers with the rollers, what this blue piece is. It's kind of a new version of one, so I'll kind of explain how that will look, as well as the follower guide. Eventually, we'll make this little box, and you'll have your full automata. At this point, the way we have it designed is you already should have made your toppers. So you'll throw your toppers up on the end, and you should have your fully working virtual version of your automata. All right, so to get us started, I'm going to go ahead and start a new project. So this will be create new document. I'll call this one Automata Videos. And I'm personally saving it in my IED folder. So I'll save it in there. Cool. All right, hit create. Okay, at this point, we got a blank shell, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take a peek back over here. So we are making a few adjustments compared to the drawing shown here. The main one being the follower that we see here. We're going to stick to that 1/4 inch, so it'll still be 0.25. The 4 inch, I think, is still good to start. You can always change that later if you need to. And then I'm also going to update the follower guide, this one shown here, as well as the roller. And I'll give you guys some tips on how to do that. All right, so let's start off with the follower and the axle. Okay, so I'm going to sketch both of these. I'm going to sketch these on the front plane. Hit N for normal to the view. And I personally, if you haven't done this already, check out under rectangle. You can change this to center point rectangle, is my suggestion. That way I can center everything around the origin. Okay, I'll click on that, go and pull that out. And right now I have everything in inches already, so I'm going to go ahead and model based off that. Okay, so based off of this, right now I'm going to do the follower first. And again, instead of that 3/16, I'm going to go ahead and make that a 1/4 inch. So hit dimension or the letter D, and we'll go ahead and make this 0.25. The other side also 0.25, and hit the check mark. And at this point, I'm going to extrude. And the thing I would recommend, I personally really like to, when I'm selecting, I'll select that face still. But instead of a blind extrude here, instead of leaving it just going in one direction, I prefer to do symmetric. That allows things to be centered around the midpoint there. And then the only other thing I need to do is add a depth to it, 4 inches, hit the check mark, and I've got the first piece. That's the follower. Oops. All right, and again, just to help us stay organized, I highly recommend go ahead and update the part studio name as well as the part name. Let's help you stay organized, okay? And in addition, I personally like to number things, so I'll call this 01 follower, and that'll be good for that. All right, and while we're at it, we'll go ahead and either what you could do is create a whole new tab. And the other thing I notice as a kind of tip here is my axle is really the exact same thing. The only difference now is that it has 7 inches in depth. So one way you could do that is just right click here. You can duplicate the part. So now I've got another follower, and instead I'll call this O2 axle. And now all I need to do, I'll update the name here as well, so it's not confusing. Now all I have to do is come back into my extrude, change the 4 inches to the new length, which was 7, as shown right there. Change that to 7, and boom, I've got my follower and axle ready to go. All right, I'm going to pause the video here, get to the next one so we can kind of